What are you still salty about? Some friends from work planned a get together at a local chain restaurant for my birthday. One of my co-workers found out and decided it should also be to celebrate her birthday, because it's the day before mine. Already annoyed, but whatever. The night of the dinner, a friend bought us both slices of cheesecake and they were presented with candles, and everyone sang happy birthday. At the end, she blew out her candle, and then mine. And laughed about it. It was my candle. You were barely invited. I've never forgotten about it. The correct response there is to take the first bite of her cheesecake. When my son was in Cub Scouts and it was our first time going to the Pinewood Derby. My son worked hard on his car and for a 7-year-old, it was decent. We show up and not a single kid built those cars, it was pretty much a dad competition. My son came in dead last and I was sad for him, because his friends literally said that their dads all built their cars. So for the next 4 years my son picked the design and color scheme, and I built them while at work. We went on a 4-year win streak in the local, district and regional derbies. The look of anguish on those fathers' faces was worth it. Sorry, end of rant. In a 5th grade science test the question was, are there any stars in the solar system? I answered yes. Teacher marked it wrong. I went up afterwards and said, what about the sun? He said. He meant that all the other stars are not in our solar system and kept it marked wrong. Although I am harboring this for 50 years now, he was all around one of the best teachers I ever had and just passed away a week or so ago. But damn, that should have been marked right. I did gymnastics as a 14-year-old and was training with some other kids. I was arguing with one, saying that the sun was just another star and that the other stars just looked smaller because they were further away. We called out for the coach to resolve the argument, and he said the sun was not a star and I was wrong. The other kid got to smugly declare victory. That is the exact moment I lost my last shreds of faith that adults knew what they were doing. Are there any beans in this jar? Yes, there appear to be 3. Wrong, I meant all the beans that are outside of the jar. You see, if you exclude all the beans inside the jar, there are no beans in the jar. You sure are stupid. When I was in high school someone tagged up the school. They announced there would be a reward for anyone who rats anyone out. I get called in the office and find out I'm suspended for vandalization. I didn't do it and had no idea who. 4 days later I'm allowed to come back to school because they found who actually did it. I just got an apology. When I was in high school, I was occasionally allowed to drive my family's 3rd car. It had a slow leak in one of the tires. So we were all supposed to check the pressure and put air in it if we needed to. I picked up a friend to go to a movie, and when we came out one tire was completely flat. It wasn't the one with the leak, so I put the spare on and drove home. I got absolute hell from my parents about it. How irresponsible I was to not check it. I'd have to pay for the repair. Why didn't I call roadside assistance, etc. Took it to get fixed. Repeat the whole lecture as we're dropping it off. And the tech who did it called my mom and told her he'd found a nail in the tire, and there was no way I could have seen it coming. She refused to apologize and I still had to pay for it. That's not even bad parenting, that's just bad personing. 3 months ago I went on maternity leave. The woman hired to cover for me was being paid $3 more than I'm currently paid. She was going to be kept on as a full-time accounting assistant after I returned. But she couldn't keep up with my daily tasks and completely effed up several databases that I had to correct when I returned to work the following month. When I asked for a raise, they offered me 50 cents after telling me how crucial I am to the structure of the company. Needless to say, I'm looking for a new job. 20 years ago I had 3 friends show up at my house, and when they left my wallet with $80 and it was missing. One of the guys felt bad and gave me $20 back. 3 years after that we are in the Burger King drive-thru, and he whipped out my wallet. Still salty. His Facebook friend request has just been sitting there for like 2 years. In 4th grade English class, I've used the word gross in a random sentence we had to write. The teacher argued that it isn't a real word. I said that it is, that I saw it a few times in video games and movies, and she said that they aren't a reliable source. I said to her that I'm gonna show it in the dictionary, but she instead grabbed me by the arm and took me out of the classroom and locked the door. To this day I am still fuming about this. And then she had the nerve to be all chummy when I met her once in a supermarket. Gross. Edit. In both cases it was meant like disgusting, and I know there are even more meanings behind the word. I wonder if she knows by now. Came second in food tech competition. Made a lovely main course, then longs chat biscuits with lemon posset for dessert. I made this dessert because the judges prior to this date told us, don't make a cake for dessert. Guess what won first place? An effing cake. Reminds me of the time my high school chamber orchestra participated in a music competition. We worked our tails off learning Shostakovich's Quartet No. 8, which if you don't know it, is crazy hard to play, not least because it includes a certain musical dissonance that doesn't come naturally to people, and we seriously nailed it. We show up to the competition only to discover that nearly everybody else had chosen easier, more melodic pieces, with a solid third of them all playing Tchaikovsky's Serenade for strings. Not only did we not win any of the top spots, several of which went to people playing that damn Tchaikovsky, but our judges were writing notes about how the music sounded evil. Seriously, who marks down a chamber orchestra because you think the composer wrote evil music? Imbeciles. I was probably 5 years old visiting my mom at the hospital after she gave birth to my brother, and she was given food on a tray which she didn't want, so she gave it to me. I put the tray on the table, and as I was eating, the nurse takes the tray away from me and throws away the food. That may have my first true instance of anger in my life. I'm 27 now and I'm pissed as I'm writing this. When I was a freshman in college, my mom gave my car to my jailbird brother. Every time he got out she'd scrape a bunch of stuff together for his fresh start, without ever running it by me. He showed up to my school, changed the battery for me, and then drove away in it. He didn't tell me his intentions beforehand, so it wasn't until then that I caught on. As he drove off I called my mom and she just said, "I'll help you with a new one." He moved out of state with that car, wrecked it within weeks, and has since gone back to jail multiple times. Neither of them have given me a sincere apology to this day. Me and some others in primary school were saying the biggest numbers we knew of. Everybody was saying like 100,000 and a million, and then I'm like, a trillion. And they refused to believe it was a real number. I found a bongo next to the trash at my old apartment and it was a perfect time capsule of the 90s. It had Grateful Dead stickers, a smiley face holographic sticker, a pot leaf sticker, and Alien. I'm telling you, if someone made this as a prop for a movie about the 90s, I would have told them that it's too on the nose. When I came home from work, the first thing my girlfriend's friend said was "You're welcome," and I was like, what? She had peeled off all of the vintage stickers and now it was just a boring trash bongo. I'm still mad. Don't touch my shit. When I was in high school, I entered a book quiz and one of the books I chose was Demon Thief by Darren Shan. During the quiz, I was asked what was the main characteristic of the demonitor summoned by the punk during the concert. I said it had 3 heads. Wrong. The answer was that it had a dyed mohawk. Except it was the punk that summoned it that had the mohawk, not the damned demonitor. I lost a point because the question setter could either not read, not write, or couldn't remember the book correctly. I was at a house party in college and we had to take off our shoes. Some bitch walked home in my leather knee-high boots and I've never gotten over it. Edit. For clarity, she left her dirty ass shoes behind for me to go home with, so thanks I guess you shoe thieving wrench. When my old boss pulled out the 2020 calendar in late 2019 and asked everyone what days off they need so we can plan ahead and around, everyone was splitting off dates. I didn't have any plans yet, so I didn't request anything until she specifically asked me if I needed/wanted any dates off. I shrugged and asked for one day around my birthday because why not, and she started mocking me in front of everyone. It's just a 23rd birthday, why would you need that off? But okay, obviously rolling her eyes, then started treating me like an idiot the rest of the day. I missed out on recognition at my school's big academic assembly for arguably the most important academic results one gets in their schooling career, in my state in Australia, because the teacher I had sent my results to didn't pass on the news. It's been years and it still fills me with such exasperation. Being charged $1,000 for a battery and alternator change. They also destroyed my starter motor in the process and rounded a bunch of my bolts. They left tools in the engine bay. I don't even have that car anymore and I'm still salty. F you Midas. When I got my first car, a really old one, my dad told me I would be responsible for gas money, and he would take care of the maintenance. After a while my brakes would make funny noises and I told my dad. I reminded him every once in a week, maybe half a year, and he always told me, yeah, I got it. I will handle it. My boyfriend at this time wouldn't let me drive it any further because he was concerned for my safety, so he had a mechanic look at it. The mechanic told me that if I would have come sooner, it would have been a €50 bill to take care of it, but over time the brake got more and more damaged, and by then it would have been over €800 for the repair. When I told my dad, he just said that there is no way that he would spend so much money on a car that had maybe €500 value left. I ended up selling the car for scrap value. That was 10 years ago and I still bring it up to my dad sometimes. If he would have just did something when I first told him, it would have been so cheap and easy. That my managers wouldn't let me have a weekend off for what would have essentially been my honeymoon, because it's Small Business Saturday and you need to be here. I gave them over a month's notice, and Small Business Saturday lasted all of an hour. Thank God I don't work there anymore. I worked at McDonald's in high school. I trained maybe half a dozen other people who started there after I did, and was never promoted to crew trainer for that sweet 15-cent an hour raise. I wouldn't really be salty about it if they hadn't promoted 2 people I trained to crew trainer, and one of them again to manager. My sister got a brand new car for her 16th birthday. I got $20. That is bullshit. I would be salty AF. $20 is enough to buy a hammer. A friend told me that they only hang out with me when all of their other options run dry. No longer a friend, I hope. Or at least, not the kind of friend you depend on. Well, only if all other options run dry. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more daily Reddit videos.